broadcast it, and all of a sudden, you own it because everybody's expecting you to deliver. Nobody has a monopoly on great ideas. Nobody. There's always somebody with a problem that needs to be solved, and that is the essence of a great business opportunity. The most important lessons you can learn are from failure. Why? That's the definition of experience.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Motivation Nation.
Believe Nation.
Oh, Believe Nation. Okay. All right, here we go.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Invest now.
There's a big difference between saving and investing. The whole idea is you take some number each week and you put it to work as an investment. You do it when you're young and you keep doing it throughout your whole life. So when you retire, when you're 65 or so, you've got some serious money in the bank. We know from the past 50 years that the market returns are kind of 6 to 8% over long periods of time. Now, what I'm shocked about is so many of my employees and the companies that I work with, nobody's saving anything. They're not even investing or saving. So I wanted to change that. And in order to do it, I didn't want to make it complicated where you had to buy and sell stocks and bonds. So many people don't want to do that or don't know how to do it. Bean Stocks makes investing really simple. You attach it to your bank account. You decide, I suggest $100 a week. Most people can do that, Evan, you know that. And then it puts it to work in a series of very diversified exchange-traded funds. And those are built so that you can build a very diverse portfolio that just goes to work for you week after week after week after week. You can automate the $100 transfer, or you can decide what and how much you want to do. It doesn't matter. But I try to make it really simple because you got to start now. Because if you do $100 a week and you're only making, $58,000 a year, the average American salary, you'll end up with, hopefully, if the markets do what they do, in the last 50 years, you'll end up with something like $1.5 million in the bank, and that's what you can live off.
Rule number 2, broadcast it.
Broadcast it. I am going to achieve this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this done. It even could be weight loss. I'm going to lose 5 pounds, whatever it is. Broadcast it, and all of a sudden, you own it because everybody's expecting you to deliver. It becomes part of your own personal accomplishments. It's a hack that really works. And you continue to broadcast it because you're committed to it. Because others are going to say, hey, you said you were going to lose 5 pounds, or you said you're going to do this deal, or you were going to invest in that, or you were going to learn how to play that riff, or you were going to paint that painting, or you were going to read that book. Did you do it? Believe me, when others call you out on it, it really motivates you. Try it. Definitely works.
Rule number 3, go sell something.
Go sell some of this to somebody.
Right.
Prove to me that not your mother or your aunt or your father. Sell it to somebody you don't know and get 100 people to buy it and then listen to what they have to say. Show me that you can actually sell it. That is the beginning of a wild journey for most people because they realize how hard it is, but also when they start to get traction, they know it's working and they start to modify. That's the biggest thing for me are these young entrepreneurs, sometimes they're 18, and they come in and they've already sold $2 million worth of something. I don't mean a Kickstarter campaign. I mean they've run around their neighborhood and sold it.
Collected the money.
And collected the money and actually manufactured it and built it. I know kids like that are going to make it because they know how tough it is. Entrepreneurship is it's really hard. I don't have to tell you that. And the ones that get it realize it's a 25-hour-a-day job and it changes your life. And it's not always to the best for people, but if it works, here we are.
Rule number 4, make a note.
I'm going to share a little trick with you and all viewers. You see these pencils here on my desk? I've got these all over the place. I got probably thousands of these. And I have this. This is the lowest tech thing you've ever seen, sticky note. During the day, here's one this morning, I write down things I have to get done. I know it's low tech. There's all kinds of software can do this for you. I don't care. I like pulling a pencil and simply writing down, oh yeah, I got to get that thing done, and just making that note. I learned this from a very successful person years and years ago, my mother. And this note just sits here all day, and at night, if I haven't finished, and usually there's 3 or 4 I haven't done, I look at it and say, okay, tomorrow I will get this done before anything else, before, I go online, before I read anything, I go watch television, before I make any phone calls or texts or anything. I'm gonna get this thing done. And I stick it on the mirror on the right-hand side. Number 1, record bass line for track 15. All right, so I found a piece of music that I recorded back in '89. I'm working on a documentary about watch dials, which I think you're gonna find interesting when I finally get it finished, but it needs the music so the editors can work with the beat of the music. And this thing I recorded in '89 does not have any bass, and I didn't play bass back then. Now I do, so I'm gonna go back in the studio and lay down the bass track for track 15. Number 2, reconcile foreign currency. I have investments over in Europe, and each month I reconcile to the currency to figure out how much of the performance was gained or lost by the change in the currency rates. So I want to do that this morning. It's important to get that done for last month because, if you don't have that information, you can't make moves. And number 3, tape questions 4 and 5 for TaxHive. TaxHive is a new business I've got involved in as an investor and also as a spokesperson. This is a company that helps small business with their taxes and payrolls, very important in my portfolio of companies. So I'm recording some messages, and 4 and 5 have to be done today, so I'm gonna go in the studio and record those. Great take, that's the one. Before I do anything else today, these 3 puppies are gonna get done. And that is how you get super productive. And you don't let anything distract you. You don't take a phone call, you don't do emails, you don't do anything. You get the things done that you made the priorities the night before. Do it every day. Try it. It's fantastic. Look at this low tech. Low tech. You write it down on a piece of paper, stick it on the mirror. Come on, it works. Let's talk about writing books because I'm working on my 4th now. I'm hating every minute of it, but I think it's going to be my best. But I always say that about every book. How do you do yours?
This book came when I was on tour last year, and I was hitting the city every 4 days and doing a speech in front of a group, and the questions that people asked me, I just kept like a note of what people kept asking me over and over again, and then it turned it into
And you got, thematically, you would get some very questions over and over again that people had, right? And you say that is a kernel, that's an important question, because they keep getting it all the time. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I was on tour and people kept asking me, how do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? It's like the number 1 question in every city across America. I said, well, that's pretty easy. You don't have to sit on top of a mountain for 10 years or hire a $20,000 business coach. There's a 3-step process to find your purpose. And I just guided them through it. And then everyone's, hey, pick me, do it with me. It's like, okay, well, I'll turn it into a book. And that became Built to Serve.
Sounds good. I got to read that book now. That sounds pretty good. I got to find my purpose. I've really enjoyed our time today. It's
great.
You're a good guy.
Thank you.
I'm going to endorse you. That's fantastic.
Rule number 5, keep your eyes open.
I'll tell you something, nobody has a monopoly on great ideas. Nobody. There's always somebody with a problem that needs to be solved, and that is the essence of a great business opportunity. Look around you in the world and see the problems people are having. Keep your eyes open, and when you discover one that you think you can fix, that is the beginning of a business, my friend. That's how it starts. So don't be down and don't say that all the great ideas are taken. That's never the case. There's always the next great idea, and that's what's wonderful about being an entrepreneur. You gotta keep sort of your mind open and your eyes open and always be looking for opportunity.
Rule number 6, get a side hustle.
A side hustle is really a great idea. And let me explain why. I used to run around just a year ago when I'd have a talk like the one we're having right now, and people would say, well, how should I invest for college? And I always say, well, there's only 3 options if you want to get a job. Engineering, engineering, and engineering. And if you want a backup plan, become an engineer. But I don't feel that way anymore, because what I've learned in the last 9 months is when I look at the money I've spent on artists, who are they? copywriters. I've spent money on videographers, video editors, photographers, animators. Why? Because I've had to redo my entire digital platform on all my companies so that people would engage in the product or service and make it rich enough content that they would buy direct from us as opposed to go to retail, which doesn't exist anymore in the same way. And that's all art. That's all great storytelling. That's all great photographers. Now, that's a great side hustle. If you know how to cut video, if you know how to use Adobe, if you know how to record stuff, if you can write copy, if you can do animation, if you're a good photographer, come on. Are you kidding? The world is screaming for those talents, and you can make plenty of money on the side. I'm paying tons of dough to editors in Israel and France and England and Australia, time shifted, even in China and India. All these people that are working with us on digital content just so we can be working 24/7, digitizing all of our platforms. So there's a big opportunity, and a lot of kids know how to do this because they've become hip to social media. They know how to use their cameras. And a lot of the stuff that we actually post now is shot, with iPhone 11s, and now the 12 is 4K, 60 frames a second. It's spectacular video quality. That's broadcast quality. We're going to be using it for all of our social media. So I'm looking for talented people that know how to do that.
Rule number 7, find allies.
Don't do everything yourself. You just won't be successful. You can't do everything on your own because you don't have a 100% skill set. Nobody does. You got to find partners. You got to find allies. You have to find compadres that you're going to work with, particularly in business. All of my deals now, I never do them alone. I form a team, and we'll often seed a company together. We're investors together, and we work together towards success. I do that all the time, generally twice a year. But I wrote about a lot of this stuff. I never plug my books, but these have been bestsellers. Kevin O'Leary, The Cold Hard Truth. I like it. It took me forever to write. I mean, it's hard work, right? And people think you write a book quickly. This thing took me like a year and a half. Then I wrote a follow-up, Family, Kids, and Money. A lot of the things I'm talking about are in these books. Get them on Amazon if you want. They're interesting. But it's from the perspective of making mistakes, learning from them, not making those mistakes again, that kind of thing. So motivating yourself to engage with people enrich your lives. Even people you don't like to work with that you work with enrich your lives. They give you a different perspective, a different set of eyes. In investing, it's very important. People ask me, why do you have advisors that you work with? I say, because I want to hear their perspective on my investments. I want to hear what they think. If all you do is listen to yourself, you'll make lots and lots of mistakes because you won't take those challenges. You won't take risks the same way, but you've got to hear from other people. So motivation is about keeping a network of people that help you motivate yourself.
Rule number 8, learn to fail.
There is no lesson in life like failure. The idea that you're going to be successful in all your endeavors is complete BS. That never happens for anybody. The most important lessons you can learn are from failure. Why? That's the definition of experience. Failing, getting up, getting back at it, getting back in the race is what experience is. And the key to that is every time you fail, because there'll be more than once, you have to learn from it. You do not want to do that again. That's the whole idea. The more you fail, the better you become because you don't make those mistakes over again. But I wish for everybody, in a good way, now that you understand it, a catastrophic failure. Something that makes you cry, that you just want to sit in a dark closet for, saying, why did I do that? How did that happen? And then you learn from it. That's absolutely crucial. I actually remember sitting in a dark room thinking about a mistake I made. I think I was like 15 years old, but these moments in your life really stick and they help you grow.
Rule number 9, find passion.
You've got to find a passion. That's really important. And I don't care whether it's music or whether it's playing an instrument or it's collecting watches. I love to do that too. You can have multiple passions. I love pens, I love watches, I love guitars, I love photography. They distract me from the intensity of my core discipline, which is business. I'm an investor, I'm an entrepreneur. I invest in companies. I try and help them work. And that gives me financial freedom, which of course is very important, but I got to do something else. I have to. And, that I find more and more is a really big deal with successful people. They're very disciplined in what they do well, in their main focus in life, yes, but they've also got other passion. it can be a single passion or it can be multiple. And that yin and yang, which I've spoken of so many times, is so important. There's no question about that.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
We knew that both you and Kevin are guitar enthusiasts, so we asked you to bring your guitar, and Kevin has his here, and we're hoping you can play us through to the commercial. We'll be back with more of the show, but for now we want to listen to you two.
Something to eat.
I want to hear you sing something. That's what we're all waiting for.
The food is monotonous. There's nothing to drink. And chicks don't come here as much as you'd think. But I fire the rockets. That is a blast. Throw out the dishes. And I never cut the grass. 'Cause I'm here. I'm on top of this thing. Taking the time to get back, got the world on a string.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video, and what is your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of actually doing something and following through. That, Believe Nation, is not enough. 35% is not enough. We got to do something. But when you get inspired by watching a video like this, and then you create a plan of action, your chances of following through jump to 91%. And when you commit publicly, like putting your comment down below with your plan, it jumps to 95%. That's what I want for you. I want you to take action. Your dreams are too important. Your life matters. Your mission has to happen. So, question of the day, your biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week, put it down in the comments below, and I'm going to celebrate alongside with you.
When you're an investor, I mean, the core for me is I like to have an investment philosophy. You know, in my case, and I say this to people, it's not about just investing for growth. It's investing to protect your money in case there's a catastrophic change in the market. So preservation of capital is my number one mandate. And towards that, one of my early investments was to found my own indexing company, a company that makes exchange traded funds. And I did that. I own 50% of O Shares, which is a company that's been very successful producing, products like OUSA, a core subset of the S&P that I can invest in long term so that I'm getting dividends. And then for the digital economy, I told the CEO, I said, why is it that I'm spending so much money? This was 2 years ago. Look at how much I'm spending on Zoom, how much I'm spending on CrowdStrike, how much I'm spending on Shopify. Look at my budget on JD.com, on Alibaba, on Facebook, on DocuSign. I'm spending millions on these guys. Why don't you index that for me? Figure out the top 70 companies around the world that are digitizing the economy, build me an index, and I'll invest in that. And that's what OGIG was. That thing is up over 80% this year. And obviously, that's a big investment of mine. And the thinking for me was, if I'm writing checks to those companies, why don't I own them? Why don't I own them? Because they are the new, they're allowing the digitization of the global economy. They're the internet giants, and they're growing at 20, 30, 40% a year. I mean, Shopify has 1 million businesses on its platform now, including all of mine. And the reason I do that is I do business with Amazon. That's 40% of my sales. But I also want to sell direct, where I collect my own customer data, and I can't do that with Amazon, so I do it with Shopify. That's part of the index of OGIG. So that's, one of the ways I invest. And I just look at it and say to myself, invest in things you understand and how they're growing. And that's what I do.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Kevin O'Leary, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
In life, there's two types of people. there's the people that own the store, and there's the people that scrape the shit off the floor.